Alrighty, guys, got another game for you where we're going to be focusing on Mr. Bigglesworth. He has the hero power that's a passive one. After another hero dies, discover a minion from their warband and keep any enchantments. What's really important with when you're playing Mr. Bigglesworth is there's kind of two things that you should really be focusing on. First thing is just playing the early game for survival. This is going to be really just focusing on fundamentals, leveling up in times where it makes sense with your economy, just buying smart. Then the second part to him is what lobbies you should be picking him in. Generally, you want to avoid picking him in lobbies that are very combo centric. These are generally going to be something like the Goldren comps, specifically Beast or Undead. And the reason for that is you're less likely to get a minion that you can synergize off of when you get your discovers. Getting a single, Goldren doesn't exactly help your board, but if you get a 120 minion, regardless of its stats, that's gonna, gonna help you out. So something I kind of want to focus on, just leveling up normally on the turn 3, turn 4, you'll see that I ended up just doing a lot of economy plays. And really what you end up doing with Mr. Bigglesworth is you want to stabilize multiple times because you're naturally going to fall behind other heroes that have some type of tempo or active hero power. You really want to try to stabilize on 3, stabilize on 4, and then ideally on 4 is when you're going to start getting some minions from your opponents. The other thing I'll say is this was turn 5, and I ended up taking the Venom fungus unit. And something I've started doing recently, and I think it's the correct play with Mr. Bigglesworth, is that you'll want to take scammer minions. One, because they're kind of flexible in the sense that you can play them in any comp, and two, it helps preserve your life regardless of how long it goes. Really, the main things you're kind of looking at with playing with him is you want whatever minions you end up getting from your opponent's board, you want to just take big minions, and you want to leave as many good units in the rest of your comp. So this is best done by not really focusing on specific tribe comps and leaning a little bit more flexibly. For this reason, I like picking him most in mech lobbies because divine shields are pretty common across all the tribes. You have a little bit of flexibility in taking something like the Serenas as a way to buff units that you're going to be getting from the Discover. Additionally, mechs and divine shields give you a lot of early tempo that you're generally not going to be taking max damage that often. Generally, you're going to be playing this tempo comp with divine shields, and you'll most likely be able to at least save health if you're not already winning. And you'll see, when I was taverning up to tier 4, I was staying in line with the rest of the lobby. Other comps that you should probably think about leaning towards with him would be something like Nala, just because that gives you a lot of flexibility in what tribes you pick up. You can obviously just sub a unit out. If you get a big minion, you're most likely going to have a lot of spell generation that you can potentially consume a big minion that you take. And then from there, the next flexible, I would say, is something like doing just Murloc Scam, Poison Scam, because that doesn't really have a focused tribe, and it gives you a lot of flexibility in making those choices of, do I want to pick, a value minion on the Discover or just a tribe minion on the Discover. You'll see again here on turn 9, I end up taking the Naga scam unit as well. So I'm now playing essentially, if you look at my comp, about 3 scam units between Lighter Fighter is essentially a scam unit, the Naga is a scam unit, I had the Fungus, and then I even also picked up a Leroy, and then by themselves, I kind of consider Divine Shields scam units in their own little way. And I think this kind of gives you the most flexibility to just try and stay healthy going into late game. You don't want to be kind of panic buying every time. And around turn 9, turn 10, you should be getting your first Discover. For this comp, because I already had the Drakari, the Moonsteel was already a very good pick. Additionally, something I learned playing this game was the Moonsteel actually keeps the stat buffs that it's already gotten when you pick it up. So you'll see at the end of this current turn, I'm going to get the satellites that already have 12 and 15 stats rather than having to restart at 3. You'll see later there's a similar interaction with the one 5-drop Naga that gives you Discover a Naga. That one, it tears up every time at the end of the turn, and you'll be able to get a higher tier Naga off of that. So next thing you'll see, it's probably pretty obvious, but just in case you don't know, you do keep the the golden enchantment. The way to think about it is them being a triple is an enchantment. So you can use the discovers off of your hero power to discover tier 6 minions in case you get a whiff shop. So you'll see in the one case I had a demons, none of them were super buff. So I ended up just, taking the golden and got a triple off of it and tried to stabilize that way. However, on the other one, they did have this like 120 elemental, and my thought process is, hey, that's enough stats that it's going to probably trade 2 or 3 for 1. And in that case, just keep the minion there for a couple turns at least. You can use that to stabilize while you find the rest of a comp. But these turns like 9 through 11 are where you get the most value. And here you'll see on turn 12 is this Savjz is what I was talking about, where like it actually keeps the level ups that it's gotten so far. So here in the late game, really, you're around this like turn 12 when there's only 3 people left. You don't really need to think about your hero power anymore. Like, you've gotten the value from it in your last 2 turns. You were able to stabilize. From here, you can start all-inning on a comp, and this is where I start playing all-in on only the like scam units or only the mechs that are relevant to the like juggernaut comp that I'm doing. The main thing I'm looking at for here is I'm just trying to find any type of scam and then anything that will help me scale a little bit better on those mechs. I end up getting the second Juggernaut, which I probably could have considered playing. However, because I was in this top 4 scenario, I didn't want to just randomly take 25 out of nowhere. In hindsight, I probably would have been okay to sell off the Elemental, because I'm going to eventually play that second Juggernaut to get the scaling going. Another interesting pickup here, I was able to find the tier 7 Naga, and that's just kind of a similar thing to the other mentality of like, hey, instead of using this card as it needs to like do everything for me, just use this as a utility card and move on just because, it's my last discover. I then also get super lucky where I end up getting 2 of my triples between the Juggernaut and the Drakari. And then I was already picking up the Dragon. I was trying to see if I could find a brand, but I just wasn't getting lucky enough. And then I ended up just rushing into the turn because I saw time was kind of came down, and I wanted to just at least play the cards. I think you'll see I end up leaving all the triple rewards in my hand this turn just because there just wasn't time to think about it. But, it's kind of fine, like, especially for these kind of things, like, it's more important to get your board set up than to get, like, those triple rewards. Like, a triple reward most of the time is just going to be 1 gold in this kind of situation. Like, obviously it matters more when you're leveling up, but in the last couple turns, it's much more important to get your placement good and make sure you're playing the best board that you can. Finally, just going into the last turn, it's kind of the same thing of, we already got most of our board. We'll see, we end up getting a bunch of the Dr. Booms. Something that's kind of, I don't know how relevant it is, but a little micro thing that you can do is you should probably sell off, or I play the Dr. Boom before doing the next discover, because that way you'll actually get a couple more chances of the Dr. Boom in the pool. And what's just something to point out here is with the Engineer Dragon, I'm able to get 2 Goldens off of my Juggernaut just because of the Golden Juggernaut and Golden Drakari. And then final comp, you'll see, like, I still kept the Kripparrian, but I probably could have sold that off for a better scam unit if I really wanted to, but not too much to think about. Like, we were significantly stronger, but that was a little micro adjustment that I could have made. But anyways, hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this helps, like, how to play Mr. Bigglesworth, and how to play this mech Juggernaut comp a little bit as well. All right, see ya. Bye.